The acceptance letter came on recycled paper, which should have been Maya's first warning. Galactic Academy of Strategic Defense didn't waste resources on fancy presentations. They saved everything for the real test, the one that started the moment you stepped through their doors. Maya Chen read the letter 3 times, her callous fingers tracing the embossed seal. Human, Deathworlder, admitted on provisional status. She laughed, a sharp sound that made her younger brother peek around the doorway of their cramped apartment. They let you in? Tommy asked, his eyes wide. Provisionally, Maya said, folding the letter with precise creases. Which means they expect me to fail. You won't. She ruffled his hair, feeling the weight of promises made to their parents before the mining accident, before she'd raised them alone for 3 years, working the docks and learning that everything could be a tool if you understood physics, leverage, and desperation. The academy sprawled across Kepler Station like a crystal growth, all gleaming surfaces and impossible angles. Maya's shuttle docked with 200 other newcomers, most of them not human. She spotted Valkyrie with their chitinous armor, Drexen with their triple-joint arms, and at least 40 species she couldn't name. They moved with confidence, their expensive luggage floating on grav sleds. Maya carried a single duffel bag. The orientation hall could have swallowed her entire housing block. Holographic displays cycled through academy statistics, battle simulations, and graduate success rates. Dean Zaroff took the stage, his scaled head catching the light like polished jade. "Welcome to finest military institution in the known galaxy," he announced, his voice resonating through translator nodes embedded in the walls. "You are here because you represent the best your worlds have to offer. Some of you come from proud warrior cultures spanning millennia, others from civilizations that have perfected the art of strategic warfare across generations." His gaze swept the crowd and landed, briefly, on Maya. "And some of you are here because of aggressive diversity quotas and political pressure from emerging species councils." Laughter rippled through the auditorium. Not cruel, exactly, just amused. The kind of sound that said they all knew who didn't belong. Maya's jaw tightened, but she kept her face neutral. Let them laugh. She'd heard worse on the docks. The cadet beside her, a Valkyrie named Kresh, leaned over. His mandibles clicked in what she'd learned was their version of a friendly smile. "Don't take it personally," he said, his voice buzzing through a translator collar. "Humans have only been in the galactic community for 30 cycles. Most species here have military traditions older than your entire civilization." "How reassuring," Maya said. "I'm just saying, no one expects you to keep up. There's no shame in washing out during basic assessment. Happens to 40% of admits." "What's the assessment?" "Combat practical. Teams of 4. Live scenario simulation." Kresh's translator made his amusement sound almost warm. "Don't worry. They'll pair you with strong cadets. You might even pass if you stay out of the way." The assessments began the next morning in a facility that made the orientation hall look cozy. The simulation arena stretched for kilometers, capable of generating any battlefield environment the instructors could imagine. Maya's team assembled in the staging area, and she immediately understood Kresh's warning. Team leader was Vorix, a Drexen whose 3 arms ended in natural blade formations. He'd introduced himself by listing his family's military honors going back 12 generations. Heavy support was Thena, a massive Korvax whose species had evolved in 3 times Earth gravity. She made the powered armor look like casual wear. Tech specialist was Lyrian, a sylph whose neural processing speed let her hack systems faster than most species could perceive them. And then there was Maya, the human, the diversity admit, the weight they'd have to carry. "Right," Vorix said, his translator conveying clear disdain. "Human, you stay in the back. Don't touch anything. Don't engage any hostiles. If you see combat, hide." "Understood." "Crystal clear," Maya said. "I'm serious. Humans are fragile. Your bone density is half what it should be for a proper soldier. Your reaction time is adequate at best, and your homeworld gravity is pathetically low. I'm not failing this assessment because you get yourself killed trying to prove something." Maya smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. "I'll try not to embarrass you." The scenario loaded around them. Urban environment. Occupied city. Mission objective appeared on their HUD overlays. Rescue hostages from fortified position. Eliminate or neutralize enemy combatants. Time limit, 20 minutes. Move out, Vorix ordered. They advanced through rubble-strewn streets, then as heavy footsteps cracking pavement. Lyrian darted ahead, her slight form barely visible as she mapped enemy positions. Maya kept aback, as ordered, her eyes cataloging everything. Building materials, structural weaknesses, available resources. The enemy AI was aggressive. Simulated Corvin raiders, species known for brutality and superior firepower. They opened up from elevated positions, energy weapons tearing through cover. Thenna returned fire, her shoulder-mounted cannon turning a sniper nest into vapor. Vorix moved like liquid death, his blade arms cutting through virtual enemies. Lyrian disabled a gun emplacement with a thought, her neural interface making the weapon turn on its owners. Maya watched, staying low, staying out of the way, exactly as ordered. They reached the hostage building, heavily fortified, main entrance covered by overlapping fields of fire. 2 side entrances rigged with explosives. Roof access blocked by shield generators. Lyrian, can you disable the shields? Vorix asked. Not from here. Generators hardened against remote access. Someone would need to get inside first. Thenna, can you punch to the main entrance? The Korvax studied the defenses, her tactical overlay running calculations. Yes, but we'd take severe casualties. At least 2 of us wouldn't make it. Vorix's frustration bled through his translator. There has to be another way. Maya had stopped listening. She found what she needed in a collapsed office building 50 meters back. She moved quietly, years of dock work making her steps light despite her size relative to the smaller species. The desk was metal, standard office furniture, 2 meters long, reinforced composite designed to last decades. She tested the weight. Heavy, even by her standards, but possible. Her fingers found the stress points, the places where engineers had joined sections. She pulled, her shoulders protesting, her back remembering every cargo crate she'd ever moved. The desk folded, not designed to bend, but bending anyway, because Maya understood materials better than their manufacturers. 5 minutes of work. 5 minutes of applying force at precise angles, of using her body weight as leverage, of remembering that everything built could be unbuilt. The desk became something else. A battering ram with handles. A shield with edges sharp enough to cut. A weapon weighing 200 kilograms that only Death World muscles could lift. She carried it back to her team, the metal scraping pavement. What? Vorix said slowly. Are you doing? Solving the problem. Maya replied. That's a desk. Was a desk. Maya hefted the improvised weapon, testing its balance. Now it's a way in. The side entrance explosives are pressure triggered, right? Motion sensors connected to detonators. Lyrian's eyes widened. Yes, but you can't just override physics. The blast radius would disintegrate anything within 3 meters. Not if something else triggers it first. Maya smiled, and this time it was genuine. That's the thing about Deathworlders. We're really good at not dying. She moved before Vorix could stop her, sprinting toward the side entrance with her metal burden held high. The shaped desk caught the blast, the explosion hammering into reinforced composite instead of flesh. The force threw Maya backward, but she braced for it, her legs absorbing impact the way she'd learned in years of dodging dock machinery. The entrance gaped open, smoke clearing. Hostiles incoming, Thenna warned. 6 combatants, heavily armed. Maya didn't drop her weapon. The desk had survived the blast, scorched but intact. She charged through the smoke, and the enemy AI made the same mistake everyone made about humans. They saw size, not speed. They calculated based on species average, not individual capability. Maya had never been average. The first raider went down when 200 kilograms of metal desk caught him in the center mass. The second tried to shoot, but Maya was already inside his reach, the sharp edge of her weapon finding the gap in simulated armor. The 3rd through 6th discovered that momentum, properly applied, made conventional weapons irrelevant. Voryx, Thena, and Lyrian stood frozen in the entrance, watching the human work. "Is she?" Lyrian said quietly. "Supposed to be able to do that?" Maya dropped the mangled desk, breathing hard but grinning. "Hostage room is upstairs. 2 guards. You coming, or should I handle this alone?" The rest of the rescue took 4 minutes. Voryx and Thena cleared the guards while Lyrian secured the hostages. Maya kept watch, her improvised weapon ready, her heart still pounding with the rush of proving everyone wrong. They emerged into simulated daylight, mission complete with 3 minutes to spare. The scenario dissolved, returning them to the assessment facility, where instructors reviewed recorded data. Dean Zeroff studied the screens, his scale features unreadable. "Cadet Chen." "Sir," Maya responded, "you were ordered to stay back, to avoid engagement, to let your team handle combat situations." "Yes, sir." "You directly violated those orders." "Yes, sir." Zeroth's tail swished, a gesture Maya couldn't interpret. "You turned office furniture into a viable assault weapon, without tools, without assistance, in under 5 minutes. It seemed efficient, sir." "Efficient?" The dean's laugh surprised everyone in the facility. "Cadet, do you know why humans weren't admitted to this academy for the first 20 years after contact? Because we're primitives with inadequate military traditions? Because every species that met humans independently reported the same thing. They said humans were unarmed. We studied your world extensively. No natural weapons, no armor, no venom or claws or enhanced senses. We concluded you were a species that survived through luck and clever use of primitive technology." Zeroth gestured at the replay screens, showing Maya's assault again. "We were wrong. You aren't unarmed. Your weapons are everything around you. Your armor is adaptability. Your venom is creativity. And that terrifies the military establishments of 40 different species, because we spent millennia perfecting warfare with what we were born with. You perfect warfare with whatever you find." He turned to Voryx. "Cadet, you are removed as team leader effective immediately. Cadet Chen will assume command." "What?" Voryx's translator crackled with outrage. "She's human. She's barely been in the community for 3 decades. "Exactly," Zeroth said, "which means she hasn't learned yet that some problems can't be solved." Dismissed. Maya's team filed out in silence. In the corridor, Kresh caught up to her, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "That was insane," he said. "That was physics in desperation." "No." Kresh looked back at the facility. "That was the most human thing I've ever seen. You people don't fight like soldiers. You fight like everything's trying to kill you, and you're personally offended by the attempt." Maya thought about Earth, about evolution on a world that produced predators in every biome, diseases in every season, weather patterns that could flatten cities, about raising a kid alone in housing blocks where one mistake meant everything fell apart, about learning that survival wasn't about being the strongest, it was about being the most stubborn. "Yeah," she said, "that sounds about right." Retreader at the cafeteria buzzed with tension the next morning, conversations dropping to whispers as Maya entered. She loaded her tray with protein synthesis blocks that tasted like recycled cardboard and found an empty table near the observation windows. Kepler Station rotated slowly beyond the transparent aluminum, stars wheeling in their ancient dance. She'd barely taken her first bite when someone slammed a tray down across from her. Voryx, his 3 arms crossed in what she'd learned was the Drexen equivalent of aggressive posturing. "You cost me my command," he said, his translator sharp with accusation. "You cost yourself your command," Maya replied, not looking up from her food. "I just exposed it. By showboating. By taking unnecessary risks. By treating military assessment like some dockside brawl." Now she met his eyes. "I treated it like survival, which is what it was. Those hostages would have died if we'd sat outside debating optimal approach vectors for another 10 minutes. They weren't real hostages." The scenario didn't know that. The AI didn't know that. And more importantly, neither did you when you were standing there calculating acceptable losses. Maya pushed her tray aside. Tell me something, Vorix. How many actual combat drops have you done? His blade arms twitched. My family's military honors speak for themselves. That's not what I asked. How many times have you personally been in a situation where the plan fell apart and people died if you didn't figure something out right now? Not in 5 minutes. Not after proper analysis, but immediately. Silence stretched between them. That's what I thought, Maya said. Your family's honors are impressive, but they're not yours. And when the scenario went sideways, you froze because you were trying to figure out what 12 generations of decorated officers would do instead of what needed doing. Vorix stood abruptly, his chair scraping across the floor. You think you understand warfare because you survived some primitive death world childhood? War is strategy, discipline, tradition, not improvisation and luck. You're right, Maya said calmly. It's not just luck. It's also spite, stubbornness, and being too angry to quit, which apparently your people bred out somewhere around Generation 3. For a moment, she thought he might actually attack her. His blade arms quivered, his translator emitting a low growl. Then he turned and stalked away, leaving his untouched meal behind. Kresh slid into the vacated seat, his mandibles clicking with what might have been laughter. You're making friends everywhere. Not trying to make friends. Trying to graduate. About that, Kresh's amusement faded. You should know there's talk. Some of the older cadets, ones from species with established military academies, they're saying the dean only promoted you for political reasons. To prove the academy isn't biased against newer species. Maya stabbed at her protein block. Let them talk. They're planning something for the next assessment. Team combat scenarios. For teams, elimination format. Last team standing wins. And somehow, I doubt you'll be facing opponents who follow standard engagement protocols. Good. Maya's smile was sharp enough to cut. Standard is boring. The combat arena transformed over the following week, reconfiguring into a sprawling urban warfare zone, complete with multi-level buildings, underground tunnel networks, and environmental hazards. 4 teams, 16 cadets, 1 victor. Maya's team had changed. Vorix was gone, reassigned to a unit that appreciated traditional leadership. In his place was Zara, a human from the Mars colonies who'd grown up in even lower gravity than Earth. She moved like water, her enhanced reflexes making her perfect for close-quarters combat. Thenna remained, the massive Korvax having decided that anyone who could carry 200 kilograms of improvised weapon deserved respect. Lyrian stayed too, her curiosity about human problem-solving apparently outweighing her preference for conventional tactics. They studied the arena layout in their preparation room, holographic displays showing every angle, every choke point, every potential ambush site. 3 other teams, Lyrian said, her fingers dancing through data streams. Team Alpha is led by Kresh. Solid all around, no major weaknesses. Team Beta is headed by Vorix. Of course it is, Maya muttered. Team Gamma is the problem. All Corvin battlecast. They've been training together since childhood. Their species invented half the modern combat doctrines used in this sector. And according to cafeteria gossip, they've been studying human physiology, looking for weaknesses to exploit. Zara laughed, the sound bright and dangerous. They think we're the ones with weaknesses. Humans survived on Earth. Nothing in this arena is going to be worse than Earth. She's not wrong, Maya said, but they're expecting us to fight like humans. Aggressive, improvisational, slightly unhinged. So we're going to do something else entirely. Thenna's translator rumbled with confusion. What else is there? We're going to fight like cowards. The match began with a klaxon that echoed through the arena's artificial canyons. For teams materialized at cardinal points, equidistant from the central objective, a hardened bunker containing supplies that would give whichever team secured it first a significant advantage. Maya led her team away from the objective. We're running, Zara asked, but she followed, her body language suggesting she trusted the strategy even if she didn't understand it yet. We're being patient, Maya corrected. Let the others fight for the bunker. Let them burn resources, reveal tactics, eliminate each other. We're going to do what humans do best, which is, Lyrian prompted, survive while everyone else kills themselves trying to win. They found a building on the arena's edge, 5 stories of simulated residential housing. Maya led them to the 3rd floor, positioning Thenon near the stairwell, Lyrian at a window with sightlines to the central bunker, Zara roaming between positions as mobile backup. Maya herself began gathering materials. Furniture, piping, electrical conduits, anything that could be repurposed. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, breaking down civilized objects into component parts. Through Lyrian surveillance, they watched the battle unfold. Team Alpha and Team Gamma collided first, Kresh's tactical precision meeting Corvin aggression. It was beautiful in its brutality. Both teams executing maneuvers that would have looked at home in military history texts. Team Beta, Vorix's team, circled like scavengers, waiting for an opening. Alpha's down 2 members, Lyrian reported. Gamma lost 1 but secured the bunker. They're fortifying now. Vorix is moving to flank, Zara noted. Maya kept working, her improvised tools cutting through support beams, redirecting structural elements. Let me know when someone wins. 20 minutes later, Team Gamma emerged victorious, having eliminated both Alpha and Beta through superior firepower and coordination. They occupied the bunker, confident in their fortification, scanning for the last remaining team. They're looking for us, Lyrian said, running thermal scans, motion detection, the full sweep. Good, Maya said. Zara, how's your throwing arm? Olympic level, but Mars gravity. Why? Because we're going to make them come to us, and when they do, they're going to learn why humans don't need to be armed. Maya hefted her latest creation, a framework of metal and polymer that looked like abstract art and functioned like concentrated malice. Thena, can you lift this? The Korvax tested the weight, her massive frame straining slightly. Barely. What is it? Bait. They hauled Maya's construction to the roof, positioning it prominently. From a distance, it looked like some kind of heavy weapon emplacement, exactly the sort of thing that would threaten a fortified position. Team Gamma took the bait within minutes. All 4 members, moving in perfect formation, advancing on the building with the kind of confidence that came from never having fought Deathworlders before. They breached the ground floor with textbook precision. They cleared the 1st floor with practiced efficiency. They advanced to the 2nd floor in a diamond formation that covered all angles, which is when the building started falling apart, not collapsing, falling apart with purpose, with direction, with the malicious intent of someone who'd spent 2 hours studying load-bearing walls and structural weak points. Maya had turned the entire 3rd floor into a trap, every support beam partially cut, every weight-bearing element compromised, everything held together by tension and prayer until the exact moment she released it. When Gamma reached the 2nd floor stairwell, she kicked out the final support. Physics did the rest. 200 tons of permacrete, steel, and simulated building materials came down in a controlled avalanche. Not enough to kill. The safeties wouldn't allow actual death, but enough to bury, to trap, to eliminate from combat assessment. 3 of Gamma's 4 members disappeared under rubble, their armor's safety protocols ejecting them from the scenario. The 4th, their team leader, rolled clear through reflexes honed over decades of training. He came up firing, energy bolts scorching the air where Maya had been standing. But she wasn't there anymore. Humans didn't fight fair when fighting fair meant losing. Zara hit him from behind. Her Mars colony reflexes, making her nearly invisible in Earth's standard gravity. She moved like a ghost, her strikes precise, disabling his weapon before he could recalibrate his aim. He turned to engage hand-to-hand, his Corvin battle training against her Street Fighter instincts. They traded blows in the debris field, neither gaining advantage, both too skilled to make easy mistakes. Then Maya dropped on him from above. 50 kilograms of human plus 30 kilograms of improvised club she'd fashioned from a support beam. The impact drove him into ground, his armor absorbing the damage, but his consciousness not quite keeping up. The simulation froze. Victory markers appeared in everyone's HUD. Team Delta victorious. Match complete. Silence filled the observation gallery, where the entire academy had gathered to watch. Dean Zeroff stood at the front, his scale features impossible to read. Maya's team materialized on the assessment floor, the simulation fading around them. The Gamma team leader pulled himself upright, his translator crackling. "You collapsed the building," he said, disbelief evident even through electronic translation. "You didn't fight us. You just brought a building down on our heads." "I fought you with everything available," Maya replied, "which happened to include a building. Why wouldn't I use it? Because that's not warfare. That's demolition. That's terrorism. That's anything except honorable combat. Honorable combat is what people say when they're winning and want their opponents to keep fighting the same way." Maya gestured at the rubble. "You had better training, better equipment, better tactics. You had every advantage except one. Which was, you thought the arena was the stage where the fight happened. We knew the arena was a weapon that hadn't been used yet." Maya turned to face the observation gallery, making eye contact with Dean Zeroff. "Every human knows this instinctively. We didn't evolve with claws or armor or venom. We evolved surrounded by predators who had all those things. We survived by making the world itself fight for us. Fire, tools, structures, agriculture, cities. We turned a planet that was actively trying to kill us into the deadliest weapon in our arsenal. Ourselves." Zeroff descended from the gallery, his movement fluid despite his bulk. The entire assembly watched as he approached Maya's team. "Cadet Chen," he said formally, "you have now violated protocols, ignored standard combat doctrine, and demolished Academy property in 2 consecutive assessments." Maya's stomach dropped. "Sir, you have also displayed more tactical creativity, resource utilization, and survival instinct than most cadets demonstrate in 4 years of training." His tail swished, and this time Maya recognized the gesture. Approval. The Galactic Academy of Strategic Defense was founded on the principle that we prepare soldiers for every contingency, but we've been training them for expected contingencies. Known variables. Traditional warfare. You've reminded us that the most dangerous variable in any conflict is the opponent who refuses to accept that they're supposed to lose. He raised his voice so the entire gallery could hear. Humanity joined the galactic community 3 decades ago. In that time, we've classified them as technologically inferior, militarily inexperienced, and physically inadequate for serious combat roles. We've been fools. A species that survived their homeworld doesn't need natural weapons. They make weapons from whatever they touch. They don't need armor because they've learned to turn environments into shields. And they don't need millennia of military tradition because they spent their entire existence perfecting the only tactic that matters. Which is, someone called from the gallery. "Not dying," Zeroff said simply. While everyone else is following Marble that had tried to kill her ancestors for millions of years and failed every single time. Her comm unit chimed. A message from Tommy, her brother, back in their cramped apartment on Earth's surface. Saw the assessment feed. He'd written, "Everyone's talking about my sister, who dropped a building on people. Mom and Dad would be proud. I'm proud. Also terrified. Please don't die doing something crazy." Maya smiled, typing her response. "Can't die. Too stubborn. Too angry. Too human." She sent it and looked back at Earth, at the world that had forged humanity in fire and ice and the teeth of 10,000 predators. The galaxy thought humans were unarmed, but they were wrong. Humans were never unarmed. Everything was a weapon if you were desperate enough, creative enough, and just angry enough at the universe for trying to tell you no. Maya Chen had learned that lesson on Earth's docks, raising her brother alone, turning every setback into fuel. The Galactic Academy was about to learn it too, and the galaxy, vast and ancient and full of species with proud warrior traditions, was going to discover that the most dangerous thing in the universe wasn't a species born with weapons. It was a species that made weapons out of everything, including their own refusal to quit. The war colleges would spend the next century analyzing the human doctrine, trying to understand how a species so physically unremarkable could be so devastatingly effective. They'd write papers on improvisation, studies on creative violence, treatises on survival psychology, But they'd missed the point. Humans weren't dangerous because they were clever or adaptable or stubborn, though they were all those things. They were dangerous because somewhere in their evolutionary history, they collectively decided that dying was negotiable, that the universe didn't get to decide who survived, and that rules were suggestions that applied to everyone except them when the stakes were high enough. Maya watched Earth rotate slowly beneath her, thought of Tommy waiting for her return, and smiled. Let the galaxy learn. Humanity was done being underestimated.